At the end of May 2025, Costa Rica's most iconic surf break was thrust into the spotlight in what can only be described as complete chaos hit the town. Bulldozers, accompanied by riot police, moved in to demolish parts of the town, which is rumoured to be making way for luxury beachfront development across the Pavones coast. The luxury development would see the construction of 60 luxury condominium properties right on the beach at Pavones, and even the privatisation of the break itself. It has sent the town into disarray, with many businesses being shut down and dozens of families losing their homes. So to gain a deeper understanding of just what on earth is going on at Pavones, we first need to take a quick history lesson. Now, before it was the famous surf destination it is today, Pavones was nearly inaccessible, a small slither of coast on the edge of a thick, remote jungle on the southwestern corner of Costa Rica. True, untouched rainforest where only wildlife and a few local farmers and fishermen lived. The waves were perfect, empty, and completely unknown. Its transformation began in the early 1970s with the arrival of Dan Foley, the iconic Californian surfer who'd spotted the wave while flying over the area. Now, Dan discovered and surfed the wave at Pavones and began purchasing land from the owners over in Golfito. Eventually, he amassed 15,000 acres of beachfront land in Pavones, and Dan quickly became an iconic figure in Pavones. His money flowed into the town, funding roads and clinics and cattle ranches, and locals affectionately called him the King of Pavones. But in the 1990s, things completely unraveled for Dan and Pavones when he was arrested on federal drug charges and ended up serving nearly 2 decades in prison. During that time, much of his land fell into a legal mess of overlapping claims, squatting, and questionable land sales. So with Dan unaccounted for years and years in the States, many locals from around the region came to squat on the land, and the chaos left Pavones in sort of this strange limbo land where people didn't truly know who owned what land. Now, going more in depth in that, Costa Rica's squatter law allows individuals who occupy private land openly and peacefully for a set period, usually 10 years, to potentially gain legal rights. But this does not apply to public or protected areas like maritime zones. Evictions require a formal legal process, making unauthorized demolitions illegal, even if the occupants lack formal title. So this is why what's going on in Pavones right now is super controversial and just not okay. As you may have seen across social media recently, at the end of May, the local authorities in Golfito began a wave of demolitions in the town. Now, as shocking as they might seem, these demolitions actually come under Costa Rica's 1977 maritime zoning law, which bans unpermitted permanent structures from being built within 200 meters of the high tide line, which is actually where many of the town's most iconic businesses are situated. While the law isn't new, its enforcement has been erratic, with many residents stating that it's being used selectively. Families have lost their homes, long-standing businesses have been flattened, and beachfront dwellings with decades of tax history were destroyed without compensation. Now, these demolitions have left numerous residents homeless and unemployed, sparking widespread concern and anger within the community. Local organisations have challenged the legality of the demolitions, noting that while no resident or business holds a formal concession, certain hotel zone concessions owned by anonymous corporations remain completely untouched. And it's why the local community is so outraged, and while it's also the reason it's drawn so much attention and condemnation from surfers all over the world. And it's led to sort of a global call to arms, if you like, from the surfing community. So legal action has started, including a constitutional appeal against the Ministry of Public Security and the municipality of Golfito for alleged irregularities in the eviction processes. Now, the timing of these demolitions has also raised great suspicion among locals. Shortly after the clearings began, rumours began to circulate that the demolitions were actually making way for a series of 60 luxury condominiums to be built on the beachfront at Pavones. So although the officials deny any correspondence with developers, the coincidence certainly hasn't gone unnoticed. In the face of demolition and displacement, a movement of resistance has emerged. Locals, many of whom are descendants of early settlers or former ranch hands from the Foley era, have begun reclaiming cleared land, re-erecting temporary structures and refusing to leave. These individuals, often labelled as squatters by the authorities, argue that they are reclaiming ancestral lands and preserving their heritage. The resistance has spurred legal battles, with groups like the ADI suing the municipality for illegal demolitions based on outdated maps and zoning plans. Now, authorities justify these actions by citing the need to enforce land use regulations and facilitate a large-scale development project. The project includes the construction of a marina, expansion of road access, and the building of over 60 luxury condominiums. From the government's perspective, they assert that these developments are legal and very necessary for economic growth. However, local residents and environmental advocates challenge the justification, arguing that the demolitions are, in fact, illegal, having already been conducted without proper legal processes or environmental impact assessments. Now, NGOs and international surf media have joined the fight, and local organisers are raising funds online under banners like Save Pavones. Their demands are clear: protect community land, halt demolitions, reject the tuna farm, and ban large-scale resorts. All in an effort to preserve Pavones and keep its authenticity. You know, if you've ever been there, it's a very sleepy, small surf town, you know, there's nothing else to do, it's just jungle, there's an amazing wave. The last thing it needs is 60 beachfront condominiums in front of the wave and then nobody be able to surf it. That's obviously an absolute freaking disaster. As of May 2025, demolitions continue and development projects are moving forward with little transparency. That said, there is resistance, with the local and global surfing community pushing back against the situation and fighting for their town and the wave. Now, Pavones isn't just a dot on the surfing map. It's a tight-knit community based around conservation and a deep surfing culture. And what's at stake here is about more than just a surf break. It's about a community, family and livelihood standing up against corruption and the powers that be. Now, this is still a developing story, so there's going to be a lot more information to come on this, but hopefully everyone can sort of rally together, spread a bit of awareness as to what's actually going on in Pavones. If you've got any more info regarding this story, please comment down below. But for now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next episode.